Well, good morning. Jim Sunderwirth from the swing here in my home. We were talking about the book of Numbers. We've been in this book a while now, and we're in chapter 20. And remember, from chapter 19 to chapter 20, there's about a 38-year gap. And God doesn't say much or talk too much about the people in that wilderness. But now, this new generation, brand new generation, God said He's going to take in. He told the older generations, their children, was going to go in to the promised land. And so over all these years, the children have watched their family, mamas and dad, and they learned from them, because when it came to Kadesh Barnea one more time and they were getting ready to go in, lo and behold, they needed water again. And we talked about it yesterday, how they complained. And Moses met with God, and God said, now Moses, I want you to go out and I want you to take that rod with you now, but I want you to speak to the rod. Now that's found in chapter 20, verse 8. Now, so Moses, this is verse 9. So Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him, and Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said, now listen to what Moses said. Now, I can't be too hard on Moses. This was 40 years. Now, sometimes, you're working with people, and in a week's time, you just want to scream at them, but this was 40 years. But listen to what Moses said. Hear now, you rebels. Here they go again. Must we bring water for you out of this rock? Must we bring water for you out of this rock? Then Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation and their animals drank. But the Lord spoke to Moses, because you did not believe me and hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore ye shall not bring this assembly into the land that I have given them. So you look at that, and so many times I have looked at that situation, and I'm thinking to myself, well, isn't that kind of harsh? Isn't that kind of wrathful that God would take one incident like this, and Moses would hit the rock instead of speak to the rock, and God says, because of that, you're not going into the promised land. You're not going to lead them in, and there's a reason. Listen, when Moses said, now listen to what he said. Hear thou, O rebels, must we bring water for you out of this rock? In other words, he was beginning to touch a little bit of the glory. He said, it's me and God, and we're angry. And he talked about it. He said, look, he said, and it confused the people. Is God that angry, or is it Moses angry? Did Moses produce the water, or did God produce the water? And he didn't represent and honor God like God told him to. He didn't represent God. You see, the first time he came, they needed water. God told him to hit the rock. The second time, he said, do not hit the rock. Speak to the rock. Now listen, who is the rock of our salvation? The rock of our salvation is Jesus. Upon this rock I'll build the church. The rock is Christ Jesus. He was hit. He was crucified. He was put on a cross. And as they hit him and put stripes on his back and nailed him to the cross, that brought our salvation. But listen, as a metaphor, as an example of the Old Testament expressing the New Testament, God says, you don't hit the rock twice. The rock was hit the first time, but now Jesus doesn't need to be hit anymore. He needs to be spoken to. He needs to be asked. And so Moses took away from that tremendous illustration that God wanted to bring forth, and he misrepresented God in that measure. So he failed to properly represent to the people, and he became a witness that really kind of failed in that instance. God says, you're not going to go through. But I don't want you to get too frustrated, because God took him up at Nebo on a mountain. He showed him the land. And then he said, but I've got a better land for you. I'm going to take you home. I'm going to take you to the tremendous, true promised land. I'm taking you to heaven. Listen, we got to talk about this tomorrow. We're out of time right now, so I will. But listen, we want to watch our witness because we want to represent God properly every day. Okay? Moses taught us that. So I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.